I saw a lot of things in the media about the refs, but obviously, what y'all gonna say now about the refs and us when there was a lot of touchy calls? Are y'all gonna report that? Are y'all gonna talk about the refs now?
So that was DeAndre Hopkins' post-game comments after the game, who's only played 10 games, had 437 yards and 4 touchdowns with a short stint with the Chiefs. The Eagles did exactly what I said they needed to do if they were going to win this game. Blow them out and don't leave the game in the refs' hands. The Chiefs have had 3 years of lucky bounces, great coaching by Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo and the rest of that great Chiefs coaching staff, and a little assistance from the refs. 3 years of that, nothing was said. And the one guy that's only played 10 games for this team is the one that's talking. Everybody else kept their mouth shut because they know they lost that game yesterday. There was no question about that. From the tip, we all know from that first defensive series by that Eagles front four, we knew that this Super Bowl could be a classic defensive destruction. And it surely was one of those defensive performances. And those 4 guys on the front, and I would just say the entire defense as a collective, including Vic Fangio, I would have voted them as the MVPs. Every single one of those guys on that defensive front were the MVPs of that Super Bowl. The Eagles won 40-22. The score does not tell the truth. It does not tell the truth. It really doesn't. If you watch that game from beginning to end, which I did and many of you did, that game does not tell you the truth at all. Not the game, the score, sorry. 40-22 was just a mere chameleon just saying hi to you. It was 24-0 after the first half. It should have been more. Vic Fangio did something that I've watched Brian Flores do all year. He sent so much pressure on the quarterback. If I believe I'm correct, it was 25 times the quarterback was pressured. They had 6 sacks as I counted, and there was 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions, and there was the fumble, the forced fumble by Big Milt Williams, which was classic because I was waiting for them to call a cheap face mask or hit the quarterback, which he did get hit in the face afterwards. He did get hit in the face, but the refs seemed to well, this game's a blowout. We can't help him now. So they didn't bother calling it. So, and I know Patrick Mahomes was hit at least 11 or 12 times from what I counted. I didn't need to check the stats. And if you guys think I'm lying or telling stories, go look at the numbers. He was sacked 6 times, religiously sacked in that game. And Vic Fangio came out with a solid game plan. Solid game plan. And the funny thing is, I watched Buffalo in the Super Bowl, not the Super Bowl, sorry, the AFC Championship game. And they were trying to do the exact same thing. They just didn't have the personnel to do it. Buffalo was doing the exact same thing. And this is why I say, when you're watching football, don't watch it as a fanboy or fangirl. Watch it as a fan. Watch it as a fan who understands the game or tries to understand the game and just looks at it from a reality perspective. Buffalo was trying to do the exact same thing against KC in the AFC Championship game, but unfortunately, they weren't able to get to him. That's why he was scrambling all over the place. So, shout out to the defense. I mean, Jalen Hurts did his thing. Shout out to him. Shout out to A.J. Brown, who had his little 5 minutes with Nick Fangio. Again, those two always seems to be, father-son disagreement. But then the next couple plays, he scored a touchdown. Saquon had a couple moments, but the Chiefs defense stopping him, phenomenal game plan by Steve Spagnuolo on that. But overall, the takeaway for me was the Eagles' defense. The Eagles' defense was just absolutely stellar. They absolutely put the Eagles' offense in primary positions to win this game. They were just absolutely on a mission to make Patrick Mahomes understand that it was up, their time was up, and we were going to take this game. There was nothing else that they were going to accept but winning this game. I mean, there has been some great defenses, in the past, the Bears defense, the Tampa defense, the Baltimore defenses. There's been some great defenses. This is a great defense too. Are they ranked among those? Probably not, based on everybody's perceptions of what they see and how they don't media-wise. But the numbers, I just mentioned the numbers. It shows you a lot. So it's one of those games where you saw the storm coming and it absolutely just went nuclear on them. The guys you have to mention: Zach Bond, Josh Sweat, Oren Burks, Milton Williams, Cooper DeJean, Quinion Mitchell, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Darius Slay, Jordan Davis, Kenneth Gainwell, Brandon Graham, who made his return for the Super Bowl. And I'm mentioning these names because these were all part of that Super Bowl MVP defense that I believe should have won the MVP. And why do I know them? I know my football, so I remember names. These guys came out with a mission, made sure they put the offense in primary position to win this game. And the offense took advantage to the fullest extent. Jalen Hurts did his thing. It was solid. Had a rushing touchdown, had 2 passing touchdowns. That throw to Devontae Smith was absolutely beautiful. It was awesome. It was a beautiful throw. So, Patrick Mahomes, you look at his stats, he had 257 for 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But let me tell you something. Those 3 touchdowns were garbage time. Xavier Worthy, let me say this about him. He had 157 yards, 2 touchdowns, only 8 receptions in that game. And I've been on this guy from day one. He's one of my fantasy players. Oh my gosh. I'm still trying to understand this. And this is going to go back to my year in review show, which will be coming up in a few days after this. Buffalo Bills traded that pick that they could have used to draft this guy. They could have used this guy, and they traded down. KC took him when Buffalo needed a receiver. I want Buffalo fans and fans of the NFL to remember that this guy is going to be a stud. If he didn't become the official number 1 receiver, he just did in the Super Bowl. So Xavier Worthy, oh man, I'm telling you, when you see talent, you know when something is special. This guy was special. Coming from Texas, going into the combine, and then this. Come on, man. Buffalo, what? Stop. Like I said, Buffalo, stop trading with Kansas City. Stop trading with them. My other takeaway from this game is just simply the better team won. And when I say that, even Nick Sirianni's just his attitude through all of this going on. Remember, I said this team, the dysfunction, the arguing, the fighting, they find ways to win. Sometimes you have situations like that. You guys don't really like each other, but you know you're better than everybody else. It happens. But one of the things that I thought was amazing was the fact that the Eagles were ready to come out after halftime. They didn't care about the Super Bowl halftime show. If you hear some of the comments from some of the guys post-game, They were standing by the door ready to come out as soon as that halftime show was done because they knew the mission wasn't complete and they knew they still had some work to do. And that's a mentality when you're trying to put away a team like this. If you've ever coached a team in a sport of any kind, or played in any sport of any kind in this situation, you want to get this over with. You want to continue to destroy them. Trust me, you want to make sure that you win this game because a lot could happen at halftime. You get cold, a crazy turnover or a bad call by the officials, and the whole perpetuum just swings, and it's a whole, I know most of you wanted a close game. The Chiefs come in and pull it off, and the confetti comes down. Not this year. I love blowouts in Super Bowl because it gives you a definitive winner, and there's no help from the officials. The officials can't help you. There's no doubt about it who won this game. And I'll say this also. Another takeaway I have about this game. I didn't pick the Eagles based on my hate for the Chiefs or anything like that. And if you listen to my previous Pick Six podcast during the AFC NFC Championship episode, I said it was a talent. Defensively, they were way better than most of the teams that the Chiefs have played defensively this year. Offensively, they have the pieces. And exactly what I said is exactly what was scripted in the game. The defense made things happen. They put the offense in primary positions to win. Sorry, not win, but score, which eventually, of course, they won. And the rest is history. So it's one of those things, it's one of those Super Bowls where, you see the teams and you're like, no way, man. There's no way, like, top to bottom, defensively, offensively. Offensively, there are some. Xavier Worthy was the best receiver in this Super Bowl. Let's just stop that. Jalen Hurts did his thing. Mahomes tried his thing. But it was all about the Eagles' defense. And if you think anything else, I don't know what game you were watching. You're probably watching some XFL game because you weren't watching the Super Bowl. So Travis Kelce also. A lot of people are hating on Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce was humbled yesterday. And I'm saying that because he did not have a good year to NFL standards. But what's a bad year? Because my thing is Travis Kelce this past season had 823 yards, 3 touchdowns, averaged 8.5 yards per catch. So is that really bad? Or is it just because you guys expect Travis Kelce to have, a Travis Kelce year? Because let's look at it. Before Taylor Swift, he had 1,338 yards, 12 touchdowns, and played all 17 games. This is before Taylor Swift. Before Taylor Swift. After Taylor Swift, the season after that, 984 yards, 5 touchdowns. So the numbers have been going down. Travis Kelce is older now, folks. Number one. Number two, there are other pieces on that team. The guy's name is Xavier Worthy. They have a number one receiver now. And they drafted him because of the Buffalo Bills, once again handing them a pick. So when you got a guy like XW, you're going to limit yourself to opening up other situations to make other people succeed based on the coverages. And people are covering Travis Kelce a lot differently now than they were years back when he was going off. Defensive schemes have changed. So it's not just the fact that he's on a decline. They respect him on the field. Buffalo tried, but unfortunately they had some mishaps and injuries in the AFC Championship game. So that's the thing about this. Vic Fangio, wow. The 66-year-old man said, look, man, I got the pieces. I'm not going to be stubborn. I'm going to be wise. There's a difference between stubbornness and being wise. He was a wise old man in that game, and he used it to his full advantage in that game. And congratulations to the entire Eagles football team. I'm not going to sit here and be a hater. Yes, I'm a Vikings fan, but I'm not going to sit here and be a hater either. You know, I enjoy a good football game. It's unfortunate that this is the final game of the season, and now we're going to be talking about the combines, the drafts, but even the bigger thing, which I'm going to talk about in the end of the season show, and I will still be doing episodes after. So just don't think it's over. A lot of free agencies coming up. That's the main event of the NFL offseason. Free agency. Who's going where? Who's retiring? What trades are going to happen? So it's going to be another exciting offseason. So in other news, before we close things off, I think I've said enough about the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers, the Jets are saying goodbye, and rightfully so. New coach, new staff, new attitude. You start fresh. Go out and draft a quarterback, New York. Go out and draft a quarterback. We got to stop this. There's quarterbacks there. There's guys that are going to be free agents. There's a ton of free agents out there. Either sign one or draft one. Like the Aaron Rodgers story is over in New York. And where does Aaron Rodgers go? I don't know. Apparently, Devontae Adams has something in his contract. I think it's an option or whatever. I'm sure he's going to be gone too. He should be. He's going to have to really reassess himself. Is money important or a Super Bowl? And back to the Super Bowl for a second. You think Saquon Barkley is going to give up that Super Bowl for the NFL rushing record? Do you all really think that Saquon Barkley, after what he's gone through in New York, is going to give up that Super Bowl for the rushing record? We all know he's not. So I'm going to say it again. Everybody's mindset, everybody's goal in the NFL, well, most guys' goal in the NFL is to win a Super Bowl. So I'm just saying, stats don't mean nothing. Super Bowls are very, very precious. I mean, eventually it gets you in the Hall of Fame. It sends you to Canton, but that Super Bowl makes it even sweeter. You know, it's like that Caribbean meal that your parents or your grandmother or dad or grandfather always cooks, and you show up and it's like a surprise and the meal's just dropped right in front of you and it's so good. That's what the Super Bowl is. So, you know, that's what it is. So, wow. And also, before this show ends, I want to thank everybody that has been listening to the show. You all know who you are, wherever you are in the world. Thank you very much for, just listening to the show, because my shows are not long. They're not like 45 minutes, an hour or 2 hours long. They're long enough that they do enough justice for you guys to understand what I'm talking about, what my takes are, and what the whole objective of this episode is about. So, like I said, a lot of people these days are so gung-ho on, they need this, they need that. Listen, my advice to you guys out there is stop reaching out to the masses who's not supporting you, because not everybody's going to support you. I've said this before. Stop doing it. It's your responsibility to take care of your brand. And however it flourishes, and it will flourish, but you got to be patient. And a lot of people are not patient. They want the instant stuff. This is not a microwave life. This is life itself. You got to cook the meals so it's good. Just like this, whatever you do, whatever career you choose, whatever goals you have, whether you're an entrepreneur, new job, doesn't matter. Training for something, prepare yourself for something. You got to put the time and work in. That's the only way you're going to be successful. There's no shortcuts. So embrace the journey, understand it, respect it, And when the right time comes, share it with others and let them know that they could do the same thing and they could be successful. Because success has so much to teach others. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. This is the Super Bowl show. This is not the end of the season. End of the season review is coming, but stay tuned for that. Wherever you are in the world, doesn't matter what time zone, peace, respect, and thank you very much. I'm out. This is the bonus part of the show. I know I signed off, but there's still some stuff to talk about. First and foremost, Kellen Moore taking the job in New Orleans. He still doesn't have a quarterback, but he has an amazing receiver in Chris Olave. Of course, Alvin Kamara. Wow. Oh, man. We saw how great he was with Sean Payton. So hopefully Kellen Moore could get a quarterback and something could happen with this team because they do have pieces. They just need a quarterback. And hopefully it's not David Carr. I think David Carr is overrated. No disrespect to him. I don't see him as an NFL starting quarterback. He could be a great backup. I don't see him in that role, but that's just my opinion. So let's see what happens in New Orleans. I remember giving them an F when I did my coaching grade. So we'll see what happens with the New Orleans situation as the offseason stuff begins. The other news is the San Francisco 49ers and Deebo Samuels have agreed to part ways via trade or whatever. That was the 49ers decision. Don't be fooled. The 49ers looked at it and said, look, the money is for the production ain't right. This is a business decision by the 49ers. People are saying, people are reporting that Deebo requested a trade. I think the 49ers were already out the door with him even before this happened. I mean, this past season, he played 15 games. He gave them 670 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then on the rushing side, he gave them 159 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. I said he was a poor man's Percy Harvin, not to disrespect, but Percy Harvin was a special player. You saw him in the University of Florida, of course, for Minnesota, and of course he was with the Seattle Seahawks when they won the Super Bowl and they had to stay in Buffalo. So can Deebo help some teams? He can. Let's see where he goes and where he can help a team win. He's a good piece, but he's not a number 1 receiver. He is not a number 1. If he can go somewhere as a number 2 and he could do what he's doing, the team will be dangerous. So, and also shout out to Andy Reid. His press conference, his post-game press conference was classic Andy Reid. He basically said they got their asses whooped, which they did. So, shout out to Andy Reid. And he'll be back. He'll definitely be back. You can't count this guy out. What he's done for both Philadelphia and Kansas City is absolutely amazing. He's an amazing coach. Forget the personal stuff with his kids and all that. We all know about that. Or if you do know about that, listening to it through the media, of course, the media themselves. But he's a phenomenal coach, and I'm looking forward to seeing him again. And he's still the best team in the AFC. So until somebody knocks him down, he's the man. I don't care what anybody says. So, and also, this is what I wanted to talk about, and I didn't talk about it, but of course, this is the bonus part of the show. The MVP situation. Josh Allen winning the MVP over Lamar Jackson, Saquon Barkley. Congratulations to all 3 of those guys. And a lot of people were like, what? I agree. I think Lamar was going to win it. Looking at the stats, looking at what he did, I said Lamar is going to win this. He's going to get his 3rd MVP, but they gave it to Josh. And I think this is a political decision. I think people are looking for a guy who is going to be a standard. They want this guy to win a Super Bowl. You could see it, you could feel it. So, but at the same time, you got to go out and do the job. Lamar is going to be okay. Should he have won the MVP? Yes. Just like Shea should have won the MVP in the NBA. It should have been, I think it was Jokic that won it again. If I can't forget who won in the NBA. Shea got robbed. We saw what type of year. Saw what he's doing right now. Lamar, he'll be ready. He'll be ready for training camp. He'll be ready. Don't worry. Lamar Jackson ain't going nowhere. And Josh Allen ain't going nowhere. Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, they're not going anywhere. It's going to be a very interesting 2025 season. MVP awards are just MVP awards. All these guys won a Super Bowl. So we'll see how that goes, and that's about it. So, folks, once again, now I'm going to officially sign off. Thank you very much for listening to the show. This was the Super Bowl edition. And, of course, there's going to be upcoming shows throughout the off season, the draft, and all that. But I am going to come out with a season-ending show for Pick 6. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a good one. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm signing off. Peace.